Hello and welcome to the FPLScope podcast. I am one of your hosts, Matthias, and despite the fact that I might seem positive and upbeat, I, along with my two co-hosts, had one of the worst game weeks of all time directly after launching an FPL podcast. Pretty much you can call it content creators' curse, you can call it bad luck, but out of our three teams, except for the captain, Haaland, we all captain Haaland, obviously, and like everyone else, he got 26 points. But apart from Haaland, through all of our teams, my team, Kimo's team, and Kevin's team, only one player got more than 2 points, and that was Callum Wilson, who scored a whooping 5 points for Kevin. So despite our current players, our current starting players failing to produce many points, a lot of our former players or bench players scored a lot of points, and that inspired me to make this piece of art that you can see in front of you if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, I can explain it to you. It's basically a picture of a mother troll and 11 small trolls, and that is from a Norwegian lullaby, actually, called Trollmors Vuggevise, which is about, a troll and her 11 troll children. The big troll is Haaland, who hasn't really trolled us this season, and he's delivered even this game week. But the other 11 trolls are players that we've had or benched, that we've had recently or benched, and they got a lot of points between them. After the weekend, we had 10 trolls, and then on Monday, we had our final little troll show up, and that was Kurt Zuma. He plays for my favorite team, West Ham, and I had him from Game Week 8 until Game Week 13 when I wildcarded him out. And obviously he had to score a goal and get a clean sheet, and he got 15 points in total. So as a West Ham fan, that made me really happy, but as an FPL manager, it made me a bit salty, to say the least.
It had to happen.
It had to happen, of course. Yeah. But yeah. You can hear there, that was Kimo, my other co-host, and I also have Kevin here. So I'm going to open it up to you guys. Do you have any thoughts about the game week? We're obviously going to go through our Game Week 13 squads, but do you have any comments to start the podcast? Kevin?
I mean, I'm just extremely disappointed. I hate my life. I hate FPL. I hate the Premier League. Everton won 3-0 though, so I'll take that. I'll take that for a terrible game week every day of the week. But considering this is a FPL podcast, maybe that's not the best thing. But I can also just say the word bench and leave it at that.
Yep. Kimo, any other comments?
I mean, it's good to be back with another episode of the podcast. I mean, it feels much more light this time. We have prepared a lot and everything, so the stress is gone. But about the game week, it's so disappointing, and it's like as you have mentioned, it's like a troll, and it's very typical. After you've done your wild card, you have like a big hopes of having like the best game week ever, and then here you go. I feel like I have an immunity of this kind of like wild carding and then getting disappointing. So not like as disappointed as Kevin, but yeah, I'll take it, and then I'll try to climb up the ranks one more time. So yeah, I'm optimistic at least. If Arsenal does well, yeah.
Yeah, we had a pretty bad game week, but I think we're all pretty excited about the podcast starting and what will come after this, both in terms of our game weeks and in terms of the content that we'll produce. So let's just jump right ahead and look at what we have for content this week. Sorry about my English; it's a bit. I'm Norwegian, so that's also actually that's another point. That's another point that I forgot to make earlier. That the trolls are actually from Scandinavia, and as we mentioned last week on this podcast, we have Scandinavian roots. I'm from Norway. Kevin is Swedish Sri Lankan. He's born and raised in Helsingborg. And Kimo, while he's born in Egypt, he moved to Norway 6 or 7 years ago. I can't remember exactly how long ago.
6, I guess so. Yeah.
6 years ago, and he also has a hairdo like a troll as well. So he's an honorary troll for sure. Yeah. Anyways, that's enough about the trolls. Not enough. We're going to talk a bit more about the trolls later on. But for now, we're going to go through the table of contents. The first thing we're going to go through is our Game Week 13 teams. Again, we have to just talk about our Game Week 13 teams, leave it in the past, and that's it. And when we need to look forward to the future, we go to our next point, which is the fixture ticker. We'll look at who has the best fixtures, who has the worst fixtures, and some stats to go along with it. Then our third point is Make the Case, which is our players to watch section. So the category this week is Keep the Faith. After a game week like this, it's easy to be like, oh, I need to switch out my whole team. But like me and Kimo, we had a wildcard and just swapped out our whole team. So we need to keep the faith in some of our players. And well, at least in me and Kevin's case. Kevin or Kimo's case is a player we don't have. Any of us don't have, but we'll see about that later. Then the fourth point is the weekly wildcard drafts. Like I said last week, it says it all in the name. It's something we do weekly, where we wildcard. We basically do wildcard drafts. That doesn't mean that we think that you should do a wildcard this week. I mean, by now most of you have already used your wildcard, but it's just a way of showing which players are the most important players to have in a 15-man squad. So we'll pick with it's an actual draft, and we'll pick with number 1, number 2, and number 3 picks. Kevin has the number 1 pick this week, Kimo has the number 2 pick, and I have the 3rd pick. And then the final point we have on our plan is, the Gameweek plans. And we'll look ahead to the next game week and see what type of transfers we want to do. And that's pretty much it for the table of contents. We've moved right along to our Gameweek 13 teams, and we'll start like we do with the podcast. Number 1 this week is Kevin, and here's his team. He got 44 points in total, but he also had a -8 because he used 3 of his transfers for a -8 hit. So he actually ended up with 36 points in the net total. But yeah, Kevin, what are your thoughts about your team performance this week?
I mean, considering the fact that I wanted to deactivate my account after seeing the game week just progress, I was, to say the very least, annoyed, upset, frustrated. But the thing about that is that all managers were feeling exactly the same, because a lot of us did similar moves. In terms of goalkeeper, I had Raya, who got 2 points. Terrible.
Yeah.
Lost, what was it, 4-0 in the end? But he did several saves, so sort of made up for the fact that he should have finished on minus points. Fair enough. Trippier, who got 2 points. Again, I can't be mad at that, considering the fact that he's been excellent since the beginning. Gay, 0 points. I actually forgot he was playing Everton like when I was making last minute changes, and I wanted to actually play Nico Williams, who I'll get to, because of the storyline of him playing his former club. But Gay played 0 points. Cancelo 2 points, because of course, Cancelo had to concede when my 2 co-hosts decided to bring him in. And of course, he had to concede to Leandro Trossard. So he finished on 2 points. Saka, who should have scored a penalty and gotten a penalty and all that stuff, I can go on and on about that game, finished on 1 point. Salah lost to Nottingham Forest for 2 points. Foden got subbed on, did nothing, 1 point. Zaha, invisible the entire game, was majorly in Coleman's pocket, which is weird to say, for 1 point. Tony, 2 points, could have gotten more, but what can you say? Wilson scored, stupidly got a yellow card, but got 5 points, so I can't really complain.
Got out of bonus because of the yellow card, I think so.
Yeah, exactly, and his whole goal was just completely silly from Lloris anyways. So
beautiful goal, though.
Very beautiful goal. And then, of course, Erling Haaland, the home warrior, 26 points, 13 points with a captain on it. But if you go to my bench, Ward got 8 points.
Look at the bench.
Andreas got 10 points because he got 2 assists.
Goodness me.
Nico Williams, clean sheet and subbed off. And Patterson, had he played, because he's soon back, would have also gotten 6 points, because he would of course play instead of Coleman, and Everton kept the clean sheet. But obviously he didn't in this scenario. And as you can see, and if you can't see, I made 3 transfers for -8, which was Pope for Raya, Trossard for Foden, but I was always going to do that transfer anyways, and so did everyone else. And then Mount for Saka. And yeah, I'm not happy about anything in my entire life currently, but I am very hopeful for the future. And I think, especially Foden and Saka, will go into more in detail for next game week, which is game week 14.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be mentioned that you couldn't have done Mount to Saka without doing Pope to Raya. So that was sort of why you did a -8 hit. You didn't do Pope to Raya just for the hell of it for -4. That was still for Saka.
One thing before we move to my team, like, would you at any time, Kevin, have played Andreas Pereira over any one of your current team?
If I played with my heart, yes, because I wanted to bench Gray for Nico Williams because he was playing Everton, and also because I just thought Williams would have storylined it in that sense, right? But I don't think I would have, generally speaking, benched anyone. The only one who I might have benched was Saka if there was more news like, oh, I don't think he's going to start or anything like that. But the minute Arteta spoke, I was just like, yeah, it's a no-brainer that he's going to play the game.
Okay, so, fair enough.
Yeah. We'll move right along to Chemo's team, which was a wildcard team, and you can just go through your team basically, Chemo.
I'll take it very quick. Brian goal, Cancelo, Trippier, Gabriel, Foden, Salah, Zaha, Martinelli, Saka, Skamaka.
Hey.
Yeah, I said it right this time. And Holland captain. My bench is Iverson, Bueno, Nico Williams, and Archer from Aston Villa. Well, it's 43 points, almost identically as everybody else who had only Holland as captain, and the rest of the team is shit. So I think this is the only game week from the beginning of the season where I had lower than the average. With the average, this game week is 51, and this is the only game week since the beginning of the season that I scored lower than the average. As I said, it's a very big disappointment just to look at the team before the deadline, and right now it's like, oh, you would have thought like, oh, this is 100 points team or something like that. So looking at it right now, I regret some of the decision. I stupidly had Salah in. I was not gonna involve Salah at my team. I said it last episode. I'm not gonna get Salah. I'm gonna get Darwin. I wanted to get Boyne. I wanted to get some other players, but Salah has ruined all my plans because stupid injury of Darwin. But yeah, here it is. Cannot complain. We will fix it from that point to the. It's only 3 game weeks, and then we'll get free transfers. So yeah, I went down in ranking around 500,000. I think I was 1 million before the game week, and right now 1.4 million, something like that. So pretty disappointing red arrow, but yeah, I'll take it from there.
Yeah. We'll move on to my team, which is going to look pretty similar to Chemo's team. And even though I'm presenting my team after him, he copied me. So I I have the receipts as well. So I should get the credit for all the blanks in the 44. No, it was Chemo's idea. Sorry, it was Chemo's idea. I copied his team. Sorry.
I worked with Arsenal, but yeah.
No, but like Chemo said, he had a different team from me previously with Darwin as a striker and a couple other changes from my team, but he's had to switch it last minute, and then he just copied my team, and he paid the price for it basically with 44 points. Yeah. So yeah, I can just repeat what Chemo said with all of his players. Raya 2 points, Cancelo 2 points, Gabriel 2 points, Trippier 2 points, Salah 2 points, Martinelli 2 points, Jesus and Skamaka 2 points, and Foden and Saha got 1 point each. And then obviously I had a Haaland with 26 points. I had a pretty good bench as well, just like Kevin. I had Ward on my bench for the 5th consecutive game week, where he scored a decent amount of points. Yeah. I started the season with Ward and Iverson. He did nothing, and then once I lost faith, he started producing, of course, like the troll he is. I also picked up Leon Bailey, who I placed on my bench for 13 points.
You're not going to mention me. You're not going to mention me.
I'm about to mention you, of course. But first, I also have Bueno and Patterson, who got 0 points each, of course. But yeah, Bailey I brought in rather than having Andreas Pereira, basically because Chemo said that they have a new manager, so maybe they'll be really good. And of course, they had a new manager, and they were really good. but he was always going to be on my bench anyway. Before I changed my lineup a bit, I was going to have a West Ham defender on my bench, but I wasn't going to have Zuma. I was going to switch him out to carrier anyway, so I would have just had the 6 points rather than the 15 points if I'd kept the West Ham defender as I originally planned, and he would be on my bench anyway. So yeah, but Zuma is only one of the players that I removed from my Gameweek 12 team that produced points this week. I also had Trossard, I had Andres Pereira, I had.
You're not allowed to mention what you had.
I had Mitrovic. No, but that's what I'm saying. It's in hindsight, it's a mistake swapping them out for 3 City players, 3 Arsenal players, Salah, Wilfred Zaha, Scamacca, who has a great fixture against Bournemouth, and Trippier, who's been amazing this whole season. I expected so much more than 44 points, but that's what I had. Just
at one point as well, I had Trossard and I had Darwin and I had Leon Bailey, so I was like, if that injury didn't happen, my team would have looked so much better, and I wouldn't have the dilemma that I have right now between Salah and some other players. But
and you'd still bench Bailey, so
yeah, for sure, yeah,
you would. But yeah, anyways, that's our teams. Yeah, just another terrible game week. My rank is not what I'm used to from previous seasons. I'm down at 2.1 million in rank. I still have hopes to get into the top 100k. I'm about 75 points away from that now. But anyways, to get to that point, I need to do well in the future. And to do well in the future, you have to look at the fixtures. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. So yeah, here is the fixture ticker. It is our fixture ticker, but it has a lot of the same elements that the Fantasy Football Scout fixture ticker has, including the same color scheme. So dark blue is the easiest matches, dark red is the most difficult matches, and then everything else in between. There's not really much to note here from compared to last week, except that Newcastle have finished. They've done their game away against Tottenham, and now they have 2 really good fixtures coming up. And on top of that, they played really well against Tottenham, won 2-1. Almiron is in our thoughts already. We'll speak about him more pretty soon. We'll just have a look at all the team's stats. On this slide, we have both expected goals and expected goals conceded for each team. And I'll just quickly run through the 3 top teams in each category. In expected goals, in the last 6 matches they've played, Man City are number 1 with 11.54 expected goals. Second place is the aforementioned Newcastle with 10.63. And third place is actually my West Ham and Scamacca with 10.37 expected goals. So yeah, that's the top 3. In the bottom 3, we have Southampton at the very bottom with 4.41. Bournemouth with 4.73, second to last. And then third to last, we have Everton, which is kind of surprising. But this week, they actually had a really good game week, and they had almost 2 expected goals. So maybe something is brewing there. I will get more into that later with Kevin. But before that, yeah, Kimo, any comments?
No, I just commented on Everton. I think something is happening, and the fixtures will take them up. But yeah, I think Kevin has a lot to say. He's an Everton fan. He has more to say.
Exactly. So we'll get to that pretty soon. Just go through the expected goals conceded first as well. Again, surprisingly, West Ham are number 1. They have 4.35 expected goals conceded the last 6 matches, which is really, really, really good.
Really, really good. Really impressive.
And Zuma obviously got the 15 points that I didn't get from him, but enough about that. Second place is also very surprising. It's Aston Villa with 4.99 expected goals conceded. But Aston Villa have the unfortunate fact that they have 3 difficult fixtures. As you can see, Newcastle away, Man United at home, Brighton away. That's not the best place to invest in your defensive assets at the moment, probably. And third place, again, Newcastle. Just like West Ham, they're top 3 in both categories, and they've just been really good lately and have good fixtures. And with that, I'm going to open it up to you guys. Kevin, what are your thoughts about the fixtures upcoming?
Yeah, obviously, I'd love to discuss Everton whenever I can, so I think I'll start with them. As you can see here, for those who can't see the graphics, Everton's expected goals is 5.01, which is terrible, but that's also because in the last fixtures, Calvert-Lewin's been played sparsely to even not at all. And the minute he got his first start, he scored. We looked good. Anthony Gordon got more involved, which,
Yeah.
if you guys remember, he was man marked to hell in the matches where Calvert-Lewin was missing. So I think you should see a better rise in the expected goals, and obviously the expected goals conceded to go down because we're going to be attacking more, we're going to have the ball more, and we already have a very solid defense. And I believe that the minute Calvert Lewin is back, and now he looks like he's back in full powers, because that goal he scored against Crystal Palace was just unbelievable. He did a really nice move, slotted it home, the Calvert Lewin that we're used to. So, considering the fact that we're playing Fulham away, I hate Marco Silva. I think Everton sort of hate Marco Silva too. It's going to be a grudge match. It's notoriously known for being a pretty high goal scoring game. I think we're going to see a tightly contested match there. Leicester at home, Leicester away was one of the big reasons why we stayed up last year. So I think Leicester at home is just a beautiful fixture. Everton against Bournemouth ends like
It's a
3-3.
festive fixture, yeah.
Yeah, it ends like 3-3, all this type of stuff. So I expect a lot of goals in that game. Bournemouth are much better at home compared to their away form. So, give or take, it might not be the best Everton FPL sort of thing, but I think generally speaking, for the schedule and for fantasy players who want a differential, consider Calvert Lewin. Chemo got it bang on when he said Anthony Gordon might do something, and he did.
Yeah,
He scored. And I think that alone deserves some praise. So well done.
Thank you so much. I think he's the main man, not like the main man, but like he's one of the main guys there. Lombard really likes him. He was wanted by Chelsea, like 50 million. They depend so much on him and so on. So it was not backed by stats or something like that, superstitious. But I just had the feeling that he will score. He will be involved. I mean, who else? If you take out Calvert-Lewin, who else in Everton would be involved? Ayobi from time to time and so on.
Yeah.
Jordan was like a real gut feeling, but just one more thing about Bournemouth's fixture. I had a really good memory some years ago when Lukaku played at Everton. I had him as a captain where he scored 4 goals against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
So it's something that in the memory when you go like flashback Bournemouth and Everton, it's a game where you have a good memories, a lot of goals and so on. So I think actually it's not something crazy that I would sell one of Martinelli. I will come to that later, but like one of Martinelli, I regret actually, or Saka out because Arsenal is not showing so many high scoring games lately. And then target the Everton fixture with Leicester at home, Bournemouth away, and then pray to God that Calvert-Lewin can score some goals. What do you think about that, Matthias?
Yeah, for sure. Calvert-Lewin is a really good player. He's never good for me in FPL, but a lot of other people have had plenty of points from him. I think last year I bought him in like Gameweek. I can't remember. It was really early on, and he'd been really good to start. And then I brought him in, and he immediately got injured, and was injured for a while after that. So,
but about Leicester fixture and Bournemouth, like what do you think? Everton in that form.
I mean, Bournemouth, you can look at Bournemouth stats here as well. 4.73. They're not going to score that many goals, at least. Defensively, they haven't been that good either. We all remember they lost 9-0 against Liverpool, so maybe the other team from Liverpool can score 9 as well. We'll see. But yeah, I think Everton's fixtures are really good. Calvert-Lewin is a really good option if you need to switch your striker. We're going to talk more about that next week when plenty of people will try to sell Mitrovic. We already have sold Mitrovic, but next week, if you look at Fulham's fixtures, they have Man City away and Man United at home. So a lot of people have to sell him, and then Calvert-Lewin might be a really good option that week. But we'll talk about more of that. We'll talk more about that next week when we make the case for our strikers.
How dare you? How dare you not add Everton as a difficult fixture? Oh my God, I take that very personally.
This is based on recent form and a lot of other factors. So yeah.
No, we're gonna lose.
Everton away can be easy fixture, but yeah.
Yeah, but Kimo, any teams that stand out to you?
Yes, one overlooked team is Tottenham. They as well having Bournemouth away, which is so much. If you not taking consideration the last season game away, it's 0-0, but usually it's a lot of goals from Spurs. Spurs love to score many goals against Bournemouth. They're also having a good stats in terms of expected goals recently. They had really tough fixtures against United and so on, but I believe that Conte will get everything right after they are finished with the mission of the Champions League. So I think Bournemouth has a good fixture for Tottenham as well as Liverpool. Yes, they are playing away to Spurs. It will be a lot of goals. I expect this is a heavy scoring game. And Leeds at home, I don't need to speak more about that. Leeds is one of the worst teams at the moment in the Premier League. So yeah, even me and Kevin and you could play a game of football and can score against Leeds. So it's really one team that have a lot of tasty fixtures, Spurs, and I think Newcastle is really overlooked in terms of attacking returns. We'll speak more about Almiron later, but really, if Wilson is available without injury, I would have considered him in my team. Like Aston Villa at home, Southampton away, Chelsea at home can be. I don't know. I cannot get an eye on Chelsea under Potter right now. Like I cannot decide if they are really good, really bad attacking. They are well defensively, keeping a lot of clean sheets recently, but it's a good in consideration at least the next two fixtures. So that's the two teams that I wanted to highlight.
Yep. Kevin is backing Everton. I back West Ham, of course, but this game week they have Man United away, so you should probably stay away from West Ham players this week. But from game week 15 and game week 16, you can probably add some West Ham players to your mix, and that will probably suit you well. Other than that, there's not that much to talk about. We mentioned Newcastle. Obviously, Man City are at the top of the fixture lists because they have the easiest fixtures and they also have the best expected goals. So by now you should have 3 Man City players already. If you don't, then buy someone. We're going to talk more about that as well.
But one last comment, Matthias.
Yeah.
What do you think about Nottingham Forest next 3 fixtures in terms of defensive or attacking returns?
I don't want to talk. I don't want to think about Nottingham Forest players at all. Basically,
Okay.
Albany has been decent up front. He's outscored Jesus the last few game weeks. Sadly for me.
Yeah.
But defensively, I mean, Neco Williams is the obvious shout.
Yeah.
He has 2 clean sheets in a row. All of a sudden, I don't think he's going to get a clean sheet against Arsenal away. At least I hope not. I hope Jesus finally scores. I've been so disappointed in Jesus and.
Arsenal.
I might sell him next week as well if he fails to score against Nottingham Forest. So,
Yeah.
But Arsenal have good fixtures, more so defensively than offensively. Probably Nottingham Forest is shown to be a difficult team to score against sometimes, like they did against Liverpool. Chelsea are really difficult to score on now with Kepa in goal, and then Wolverhampton are pretty terrible still, but they have at least a reputation to be defensively sound, and they play.
I was just thinking like what kind of motivation that win against Liverpool can give Nottingham Forest onwards.
I mean, they beat West Ham early in the season, and that didn't give them any motivation. So I don't think.
Yeah, okay, we'll
that
see.
was a joke. Obviously, it's better to beat Liverpool than West Ham.
Unpredictable. Who could have thought that Liverpool would not score against Nottingham? So
that's true, but I still think Nottingham Forest are pretty poor. So I'm not going to look at their players personally. I even sold Neco Williams on Wildcard. So, anyways, we're going to make the case for other players. Instead, we're going to talk about the midfielders we still have faith in, even though they haven't really produced as expected. Salah and Son obviously have not produced as expected throughout the season. Salah has been decent in terms of points, but he's been a big disappointment this season compared to the consistency he has shown the last few seasons. I'm going to make the case for Wilfried Zaha, but before that, I'm just going to open up to Kevin, who has the number 1 pick this week, and he chose Salah to make the case for Salah. So go ahead, Kevin. Why do you have faith in Salah, even though he just blanked against Nottingham Forest?
Mainly, I think I picked him just to annoy Chemo, but I think also I just think Salah is due a huge haul. It's really frustrating that the haul came in the Champions League where he scored a hat trick, one of the fastest hat trick of all time, blah, 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 blah. But I just looking at how he played against City compared to how he played away to Nottingham Forest, it felt like night and day. I think the Anfield form is something that is real for him currently. Salah of the past would have scored against anyone and can and will score against anyone. I mean, the fact that he scored against City was impressive by itself, especially considering his form. But I think there's just been so many hauls. He's not far away from being one of the best FPL assets in the game, anyways, points wise. And
Are you sure about that?
I mean, if you look at him in terms of the midfielders, he's
Yeah.
not that far away from the top,
I
which
can
is
give you
crazy.
some embarrassing names that have scored more points than Salah.
Sure. But what I'm saying is he's still capable of becoming number one. And he clearly cares about these things. For a guy who's constantly like one of the nicest men in football and etc. You can tell that it stings him when he gets snubbed for these awards and stuff like that. So I think he knows he has to bring this form back up to speed. Leeds is the perfect team to do that against. He's hauled for against Leeds at Anfield several times, including that opening game week. Was it a year ago or 2 years ago?
2 years
Where we
ago, I
all,
think.
yeah, where we all
Yeah.
captained him and he absolutely
That's
smashed
the
the.
thing. That's the thing. And last year as well.
Yeah, there are things to consider. Yes, he's expensive considering all the other boys in this uh you know midfielders or just in general with your team. You can save a lot picking someone else, but the reason why you spend so much money on someone like Salah is because normally speaking he is consistent, he gets the goals, and Leeds are just so haphazard defensively and are just terrible at the moment. Even though he's not a pen merchant, and I don't want to call him that. Salah is slightly a pen merchant at times. This feels like Salah is going to get a penalty, and then from there it'll just explode. I think we're going to see a big haul from Salah this game week, and I think that's the reason why you should pick him.
Okay, but I have an argument against. It's like
Sure,
how long are we gonna wait from Salah to score that goal? Like in
of course,
in the last 8 game weeks, he scored only one goal. In the last goal Salah has scored was against City. Regardless of that, it was against United, like very early in the season.
yeah,
Me and Mateus watched the game together, didn't we? At the bar, I think so.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's a long time ago that I don't even remember when
sure.
did Salah score. If you remove the goal from City, and just like to confirm it was my theory, how many games that looks so many people like you and me and many others are very sure that Salah are going to score, and he didn't. Like
Of course,
Bournemouth at home 9-0, he didn't score.
yeah,
Newcastle at home, he didn't score. Brighton at home, he didn't score. West Ham at home, he didn't score. And
yeah,
those are all the games that usually Salah scores. Again, it's in the normal season. This is the thing. But
100%.
yeah, so
The only thing that I can say in favor of Salah is Leeds are terrible. Spurs
very
from
terrible. Yeah,
Spurs, regardless of how where they are in the table, they
yeah,
have fumbled the bag in all the big matches so far. Can
yeah,
you tell me a single game where they've actually played well against a big team? You can't because they've lost every game.
yeah.
So I think Spurs away could be it should be a trickier game, but I think it like you said earlier, it could be a high scoring game and that favors Salah.
It will be a high scoring game.
Yeah,
It's just before the World Cup, I think people are more like players are more like relieved just for the taking a break and
yeah.
so on. It will be more like everybody will play freely, and yeah, it will be a good game. I think so. I have very high hopes for like a 3-3, 4-3 or something.
100%. And then the final game there listed Southampton at home. Southampton are terrible away. At St. Mary's, you can argue that they're a half decent team, but
Mm.
away from home, they're terrible.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, yeah, you have a case. I mean, I have Salah in my team. We'll come to my dilemma later on. So yeah, well, I'll talk more about Salah and yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Chemo, you have Son. Just a thing with Salah. You said, when are we going to get his haul? I think you can say the same for Son. He hasn't really scored that many points lately either. And Salah has actually produced in the Champions League with the hat-trick, like Kevin mentioned. I should note we are recording this on Wednesday before both Liverpool and Spurs play their fixtures. So if they score or if they get injured or anything like that, that's the reason why we're not mentioning it. Also, I have to mention we have some players that are exempt from getting picked this week, and that's basically Man City and Arsenal midfielders. Everyone else, Foden and Saka, are the players to get this game week. So if you don't have them already, you should probably get them instead of either of these guys. I don't know if you should sell these guys to get them. That's what we're trying to make the case for now. But you should at least consider Foden and Saka before you consider any of these guys, at least in my opinion. I don't know if you guys disagree with that.
Oh, I don't disagree. I mean, no need to mention like Foden is an important player, Holland is an important player. I mean, like we're trying to make a case for someone overlooked, and we'll come to my dilemma later. Is about Salah. It's between Salah and Son. I have Salah in my team. I'll come to that later. But regarding Son, I think it's just like the upcoming fixture that got me thinking about him. We were talking one of these days about the content creators. None of them have Son in their team. He's only in 10% of the teams right now, totally. So he's really, really overlooked, and he can score a hat trick just in 20 minutes, like he did in against Leicester, wasn't it? Yeah, 19 points against Leicester not so long ago. So he's freshly updated and scoring goals more than Salah. So I think it's about Bournemouth. And one thing about stats for against Bournemouth, as you wrote in the pros and cons, he scored 5 goals and 2 assists against Bournemouth in the last 7 games. And guess what? Half of it was away, and they are playing next against Bournemouth away. So historically, I like to back myself with a player who goes into the game knowing that he scored a lot of goals against his team. I remember, I think Eden Hazard was in an interview, and he was speaking about that he loves to play against Watford because he always score against Watford. And he spoke about it in an interview, and I saw that interview randomly, like some weeks before a game against Watford. It was around the Christmas time some years ago, and I brought in Hazard. He scored 2 goals and 1 assist, and I captained him. And that's like a psychological effect. The player knows every time I play against this team, I score a lot of goals. So something was Bournemouth away for Heung-min Son, and Liverpool as well. He scored a lot of goals against Liverpool. So he's a big games player. Depends on the way that Conte plays, but I expect this game that has a lot of goals. Klopp will really open. He's desperate, frustrated, so he's trying to win the game against Tottenham. Conte will do the same as well. Both of them have lost, not officially, the hope to win the Premier League, but they are competing for the same positions. Leeds at home, it's a really testy fixture. So also he has a good stat, expected goals involvement 1.5. He's not so down in the bottom of the list. He's one of the top players in terms of midfields, and Boyne is also number 1. So yeah, it's the stats is not something essential for me because Son is something like Demi Vardy. They can deliver really terrible stats, but suddenly score 2 goals. So yeah.
Just the thing with the previous fixtures against Bournemouth, that's the point of contention in the FPL community. I know some people disregard it completely and think like it doesn't matter, this is a new Bournemouth team. But the only thing that I'm mentioning there is, do you know what happened last time he faced the Bournemouth? Last season, 2 seasons ago, I think, when Bournemouth were up. I'm pretty sure he didn't really do much in those games, but if my memory serves me correct. But like you said,
it was 0-0, I think so, the last game between Tottenham and Bournemouth.
Yeah. So
yeah, but I'm trying to give myself a hope. I'm trying to be differentialist because Salah is owned by 30% of the people, and he's been disappointing us once again. Nottingham Forest, Brighton, and so on. So if you want to climb some ranks, I have Salah, and I really want Son. We'll come to talk about that later when it comes to my team. So I'm not sure. It depends on how Tottenham plays tonight and how Salah plays tonight. So I'll have to rethink about that up until the deadline. I'm not gonna do any transfers right now, but it's really a good case to buy Tottenham player against Bournemouth, Liverpool at home, and Leeds as well. Especially when he's Heung-min Son, top scorer for the Premier League last season. He's really not happy at his situation right now. So yeah, he can score a hat trick at any given day. He's really a good player, world class.
To further your point about Tottenham players in general, then, what stops someone from saving money instead of buying Son and upgrading for Kane?
Absolutely. Kane has scored 4 goals in the last 5 fixtures against Bournemouth or something like that. So nothing wrong, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
If I could, I would do both of them. if I could.
Okay.
I mean, it just depends if you have a midfielder you need to sell or a striker you need to sell. That's basically the difference between Son and Kane. And also, like Kimo mentioned, Son is a huge differential. Like, not many people have him. He can score. He can score, like you said, a hat trick at any time. If he does well the next few game weeks and you bought him, you're gonna climb up the ranks really quickly. So, I have considered it myself. I think I'm gonna stick with Salah, but
okay.
That's
I know no one that has Son in his team. That's surprisingly. I know a lot of people who play fantasy, but none of them has Son in their team. So it's something also you need to think out of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, plenty of people have Saha in their team, but I've seen a lot of people who have thought about selling Saha as Saha being the player they sell to get either Saka or Foden. Well, mainly Saka because most people have Foden already. I think you should keep Saha, especially for this game week against Southampton at home. Kevin said earlier, Southampton at home is a really good fixture. It's we ranked it as the easiest fixture possible. But yeah, Saha hasn't really produced as well as we've thought the last few game weeks. He had one game week where he scored and did pretty well, but he has disappointed quite a few FPL managers. But still, he is the talisman for Crystal Palace. He's on penalties, so every time Palace score, basically, he's involved somehow. And yeah, the fact that a lot of people have sold him is also a point in his favor, because Saha is another well-known troll. He tends to do really well when a lot of managers are selling him. So since a lot of people are selling him this game week, he might punish them once again and score against Southampton. So we'll see if he does that. The point against him is that Crystal Palace are pretty poor this season. Like I've been very disappointed with Crystal Palace so far.
Yeah, in terms of attacking returns, Crystal Palace is, I don't know, they are playing really differently this season, scoring 1 or 2 goals at the maximum, being defeated a lot of times recently. But yeah, this is the thing. You need to buy a player who plays in a team who scores goals. And this is not the case with Saha, which he's a really, really good player, but he plays in a team right now. They don't score a lot of goals. So this is my only concern. Other than that, for me, he will get only the game against Southampton, and that's it for me. This is the only chance. Even if he scored, I think just moving Zaha to Trossard in the same game week, will be. I think Trossard has Nottingham Forest.
Trossard has pretty easy fixtures. We can go quickly back to the fixture ticker and look at the Brighton fixtures. They have Wolverhampton away and Aston Villa at home in game 15 and 16.
Yeah, Wolverhampton away and Aston Villa at home too. So I think it's much better fixtures than West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely considering him next week, but yeah, that's next game week. Basically, I finished with Saha. Are there any other points you have against Saha or for Kevin? You just saw him play against Everton, so.
I think the biggest thing against Saha is he's a very temperamental player. So when the match, picture looks good, he will play really good football. He'll be very, start doing flair stuff. The minute the game goes against him, he is the most whiny player on the pitch. And I say that with a lot of love for Zaha because I think he's a wonderful football player. But he reminds me a lot of me, and that annoys me. So,
but Kevin, one thing it's in the second episode that also twice you have commented. Last episode you've commented about the temperament of Darwin Núñez. Yeah, you said that he has a temper issue, and this week Zaha has a temper issue.
But it's not.
What's your problem here?
No. With Darwin, he has temperament issues in the sense of like. He's just angry. With Zaha, it's more of a mood thing.
Yeah.
On his day, when the mood is right and they're playing the right brand of football, Zaha is someone who's going to get a lot of points. But considering the form, considering how they play, it's negative football. So Zaha in himself is going to play a bit negatively.
I can explain that really quick. I think he spoke about it before, which is something that he feels is already. It's almost like injustice from referees most of the time that they don't give him fouls. A lot of racism, like the fans and so on. So he's through the years he like established that kind of moody thing while playing in the Premier League. So he spoke about it openly. None of the referees gave him what he deserved in terms of fouls because he can take some tackles here and there, but yeah, he's a good player. I like him. I really don't care if the player has a temper issues.
No, 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 no. I'm not trying to say that. Yeah, that's not at all
I
what
mean,
I
I had
mean.
Diego Costa on my team for 1 year.
No,
Oh my God.
temper issues is not the issue. The issue is that he's moody when he plays, in the
Yeah,
sense of like he has to be in a good mood for him
yeah,
to.
I agree. I agree.
But another thing that I think we need to also add is the fact that he's on a contract year. I'm sure that is looming on both Crystal Palace
Yeah,
and him, because if he wants to, he can just go to wherever he wants after the summer. But obviously Crystal Palace want their talisman to stay. So I'm sure that's also playing on their minds a little bit.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, before Kimo made the point, I was about to mention the point that Kevin brought that up with Darwin last week, and I was gonna say that well, Kevin said this himself, but
Principle is
Kevin also
cool.
is known for having a bit of a mood swingy temper
Yeah.
kind of deal, and it sort of affects his FPL decisions sometimes as well. But yeah, while you were describing Saha there with his temper and his mood and all that, it sounded a lot like Cristiano Ronaldo. So who knows? Maybe he'll produce like Cristiano did last season towards the end of the season. Saha now. He's not. Well, at the moment, he's probably the same caliber player or better than Cristiano Ronaldo, who's washed. Let's face it. But yeah, let's see what Salah can do. I have faith in him. I don't think you should sell him. I think you should sell other players rather than him, like Bowen or anyone else really, for the same price.
I
Apart
think
from Saka and Foden.
it's kind of annoying pick because he's in everybody's team. This is the thing. If he scores, I have him, you have him, Kevin has him, all my friends have him. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of boring, kind of template, but at the same time, if you sell him and he produces, then you're going to be dropping even further in the ranks, and I certainly don't want to do that. So
he's already been sold by 100,000 or more, 110,000, something like that.
Like I said, when he's sold a lot in a game week, he usually returns with some points. So I'm hoping that's the case this week as well.
Do you think he followed the podcast?
We'll see. But yeah, we made our case for each of our players. You can comment down below who made the best case for their player. Who are you bringing in? Are you considering selling any of these players for either Foden or Saka? Please let us know. We'll move right along into the weekly wildcard draft. And yeah, we're starting with a blank slate. We have no players picked at the moment. And we're going to go right ahead with the first pick, which is Kevin, who selected Erling Braut Haaland. Yet again, he's not Norwegian, Kevin is not Norwegian, I should say, but he picked a Norwegian player who basically destroyed his Swedish team not that long ago in the national team.
Why are you bringing that up? That's completely irrelevant to FPL. Has nothing to do with anything. That's terrible. What the hell are you doing?
You still picked him. That's
don't wind me up,
courage.
okay? Don't wind me up.
That's fine.
What,
okay,
courage, the easiest pick.
Guys, I'm neutral.
Sure. We're not going to talk more about Haaland.
You don't need to be neutral, but thank you.
We don't need to say much about Haaland. We don't really need to say much about Kimo's first pick either, which is Son. He already made the case for him. So yeah, that's you just heard why he thinks Son is the second most important player to get in your team at the moment. My pick is Foden. Again, we mentioned him earlier. He's fantastic. He just last game week he got rested. That's why he got 1 point. He's going to start from now on. He started every single game before game week 13 when I finally got him in my team. But he's going to be starting and producing points coming up, so he's a no-brainer really. And the same can be said for Cancelo. He didn't return this past game week, but he's been really consistent all year. So Kevin picked him with the number 4 pick. Number 5, Kimo has gone for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We barely touched on him earlier. Will you expand a bit on why you've chosen DCL, Kimo?
Yeah, I think it's nothing much to say more than the easy fixtures, and the 3-0 win against Palace will give them a little bit motivation to continue the form. And so I think they are more relieved now. Lombard is more in a good position. I think they are ranked 12 or the 13th on the table right now, if I'm not mistaken. So they are far away from the danger spots. So I think they will take it from there. Fixtures are packing. He scores a lot of goals when he's in form. So yeah, I just have like the gut feeling that Dominic Calvert-Lewin will score goals in the next fixture. So yeah, I think it's also very, very, very low ownership ownership on this man. So why not? I think at this point of the season, you need to really be smart on moving on to differentials, and this is what I'm trying to do. Hopefully, my wild card would deliver, but yeah, I failed by bringing Salah again. I wanted to move on from all the popular picks, but yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see.
mean, you had a good feeling about Gordon last week, and he scored, but you didn't.
Yeah.
But you didn't put him in your team, so maybe you'll rectify your mistake this time and put
And
Salah
I'm
in your
not
team.
putting Calvert-Lewin on my team either this week, so probably he'll score. So that.
Maybe he'll
Yeah.
score again and be
Yeah.
be good for you guys rather than Chemo.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, another obvious pick for me, Saka. Don't really need to speak more about him. He didn't get any points last week, but as we mentioned, he should have had a penalty. He's the penalty taker for Arsenal, so he makes a lot of sense. Arsenal will return to form as well from last fixture against Southampton.
Yeah.
Next player, Kevin has chosen a trendy pick, which is Miguel Almiron. And just before Kevin elaborates a bit more about Almiron, both me and Kevin were huge fans of Almiron when he arrived in Premier League, and we bought him in FPL, I remember, a couple of years back when he arrived from MLS. Like until a few game weeks ago, he has struggled with scoring goals. That's what his issue was when we brought him in originally back a couple seasons ago. But lately he's been scoring a lot of goals, and Kevin, that's surely the reason why you've picked him.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that he has 6 goals in 12 games, just proves that a lot of the doubters that said that he wasn't a Premier League caliber player, he's proving them wrong. And it's not even like scrappy goals. He's scoring pretty nice, finesse shots and all this type of stuff. He's constantly in the attack. This is without them playing with St. Max and Alexander Isak, and he's been stepping up. Both him and his link-up play with Callum Wilson has been fantastic as well. And I just think that this is exactly what he needed. He just needed the support and the belief that he could do it, and he's delivering the goods, especially in the FPL sense. For him to be under 6 million, he's a bargain. He's a steal. I think it's an obvious pick if you were to wildcard him in, or even just as a regular transfer in, because Newcastle have good matches.
Yeah, fair enough.
Fair enough. I just want to say one more thing about Almiron. Were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
No, it's just like Almiron is like the natural every year's player who is very low ownership owned, and he keeps scoring every week. And you say, okay, this is his last goal. He's not gonna score more, and then he keeps scoring, and then you're not gonna get him, and then he scores. And it's like Thomas Sochik for it's about 1 season ago or 2 seasons ago. I think 2 seasons ago. He was like that kind of like 5 to 6 million player.
He was 5.0 at that season, yeah.
Yes, that's what I mean. And then because of his price, and there's so many other options around that price, you say, okay, that's one lucky goal he's not gonna score, and then he keeps scoring. That's one lucky goal he's not going. And also Gundogan and Lundstrom and so many players around that. There was a player at Stoke City who's called Alan or something Alan. I don't remember. I had him on my team. He scored also like 4 or 5 goals. Højbjerg also scored like 3 or 4 goals at one of the seasons, and then so there is every season story. I'm not gonna get him on my team, and I have also story about that. I have a guy at work. He's not working in the same place, but like in the same building. He's from Portugal, and Luis, that's his name. I meet him like sometimes we eat lunch together and so on. He plays fancy for the first time, and he's ranked around like 3,000 or 2,000 all over the world, and is like number 60 in Portugal and so on. And he has Almiron every season. He doesn't watch any games. He doesn't know. He doesn't know how does Almiron looks like, but he has him in the team. He's not gonna sell him. Yeah, and he scores every week for him. Yep. Very, very many points, and yeah, this is Almiron syndrome, Almiron story. Yeah.
I mean, both me and Matthias actually considered when we were originally making our drafts for Game Week 1.
No way! Stop it! Come on.
No. We have receipts of this that we're going to triple up with Almiron, but we were so convinced that this was Neto redemption season that we scrapped it, and that is what. God, I mean, imagine if we had just stuck with Almiron, he would have probably been a season keeper for us as well.
Yeah.
I'll admit I wasn't that close to getting him. I was always getting Neto anyway, but
I haven't thought about it at all.
that's
I don't think I'm gonna get him. Not,
yeah.
if
We'll
he,
we'll see.
Yeah,
He's a
fair
decent
enough.
player, but someone who we don't need to get and we already have, and Chemo's obviously picked as well this week is Trippier. He's easy choice yet
yeah,
again. He's been so good this season. Newcastle are really good, so
yeah.
don't really need to elaborate on him. And I'm gonna triple up on Newcastle with Kevin's player, Callum Wilson. I think he's been unlucky the last few game weeks not to get more points. Almiron has basically gotten in front of him for a couple of goals, and Wilson has been in good positions. He's had pretty good XG and all that stuff. And I think a haul is right around the corner for him. So I think he should definitely be in your plans. We'll move on to the next pick, which is the goalkeeper. Well, the next two picks actually, because they're both Arsenal defenders. Kevin, I'll start with you. Why do you think Arsenal defense is good going forward?
Yeah, I think just generally speaking, we touched upon it briefly where Arteta is just trying to do the Simeone thing of like shoring up the defense, just like a 1-0 win, and just bring that like that is the thing that he wants to address. I mean,
Yeah.
Southampton was a winnable game for them, and I know he's extremely disappointed over the fact that it ended a draw,
Yeah.
and it should have probably ended like 3-4-0 if Jesus had scored his chances, if Saka
That's
had
a
gotten his
penalty for
penalty.
Saka. That's a penalty.
Yeah, it is 1,000% a penalty for
Awful,
Saka.
awful referee from the VAR system. Awful.
Yeah, but that's Premier League officiating, or officiating, just generally speaking. I've always hated refs, but anyways, that's completely besides the point. I think Arsenal, just generally speaking, with Tierney coming back and Zinchenko also hopefully being back soon, I think it's the right time for Arsenal to shore up their defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kimo, you've picked Ben White. You wanted to pick Gabriel originally, but because of money restraints or constraints, we couldn't pick him. Why did you go for an Arsenal defender to double up on Arsenal defense?
Me, because I have a theory that I regret having it confirmed last week. It's because I think Arteta is backing his defense. It's like 1-0. That's it. Kill the game and so on. Try as much as possible to play more conservatively, and so it was confirmed in the Leeds, even though they have conceded a lot of chances. And also last game they only scored one goal, and they conceded a really beautiful goal from Southampton. So I think, yeah, having faced regarding the next fixture, so it's just for me, like they have Nottingham Forest, who don't score that much, even though they scored against Liverpool. Chelsea, I'm not sure can be anything, but Wolverhampton is a really fixture where high chances for clean sheet. They are terrible. So yeah, going on a wild card for the next 3 game weeks, Arsenal defender is okay. In addition to, there's not so many other good defenders in the market. So who to buy? I mean,
That's true. I'm tasked with picking another defender, or I could have picked Ward as my backup goalkeeper, but I wanted to pick someone more interesting. I could have picked a midfielder as well, but we don't have much money left, and this is a player that I actually considered Gameweek 1. I had him in my team up until the very last moment, I think, when I downgraded Ward, actually, or downgraded from Sanchez, I believe, to Ward to sell Diogo Dalot and get in Kyle Walker in my Gameweek 1 team. I think Dalot has been really good this season. He's played every game almost for Man United. Man United are in form. They drew against Chelsea, but they beat Spurs right before that. He's attacking minded. He's nailed pretty much, and I think he has a lot of potential. It should be mentioned that he has 4 yellow cards, so he's 1 yellow card away from a suspension. But considering we have a pretty strong wildcard draft this week, it's not that big of a problem.
He's the fourth defender, so it's okay. They'll keep a clean sheet, one clean sheet in the next 3 game weeks.
Yeah, he's a 4th defender, so he shouldn't be. If you have 2 defenders on your bench like Bueno and Neco Williams, then you probably shouldn't make Dalot your 3rd defender because of the suspension thing. But as a 4th defender, I think he's a really good option. Next pick is Kevin. He's back to Gordon. We've mentioned him a couple of times. I should also just say that last week when I had the number 1 pick, we tripled up on West Ham in the wildcard draft, and this week Kevin has the number 1 pick, and we've doubled up on Everton. So Kevin, why do you have so much faith in Everton going forward?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is the striker that got picked. Calvert-Lewin is back and looks like he's in full fitness. I think Gordon wants to shake off some of the rust that came with not playing with Calvert-Lewin and all the yellow cards and the Chelsea stuff. Now it's just full focus, ready to go, and Everton just have favorable fixtures, so why not double up?
Yeah, that makes sense. Next pick is Kimo. He just went with Bueno, standard 3.9 pick. Nothing,
3.9, yeah.
nothing else to say about him. And goalkeeper Ward, who's been really good lately. He obviously plays Man City this week, so we shouldn't start him. But he's the perfect backup goalkeeper to have, or starting goalkeeper if if you.
I have only
some
5
points.
players from this wild card regarding to my real wild cards, even though I activated the last game week. So, but I like this team much better. We'll see.
Yeah. So you wish you could have changed to this wildcard rather than your own.
Oh yes, going on with 2 Arsenal attackers is the biggest mistake I've done. I really hope that they can make me regret that they have a reaction against Nottingham Forest. They should.
They
But
will.
the unlucky thing that Nottingham Forest has done really impressive fixture against Liverpool, like impressive game against Liverpool, which is a big team. They are gonna try to do the same against Arsenal. So if they deliver like 1-0 win, definitely I will sell either one of Martinelli and Saka and get not Almiron, but I'll get like someone else. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Speaking of things we should do, we are going to go forward to our Gameweek 14 plans. And first up again is Kevin. Yeah, I'll just let you speak on your team, Kevin. But before that, I'm just going to mention, usually you've been the type of manager to be like, oh, I hate my team after a bad game week and just do a lot of transfers. This time around, it seems like you're not going to do that. So explain why.
Yeah, I look at my team and I'm like, this looks like a team that can get like 3,000 points. So
Yeah.
let's back it. And just for the SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify members, I'll just say the team as I've lined it up. I got Raya in goal against Wolves. I got Trippier, who is playing Aston Villa. Yes, that can go. Is Aston Villa good at football now? I don't think so. So I reckon he'll get us a lot of points. Gay against Southampton, Cancelo, Saka against Nottingham Forest. We just briefly spoke about how we feel and believe they're going to have a reaction after the Southampton draw. Salah, maybe his final chance. No, I'm kidding. I just made a case for him, so he's going to bang against Leeds. He normally does. Foden, I reckon will start rather than what happened last week. Salah against Southampton at home. Again, I think this is going to be a positive match where they can attack because Southampton are just terrible away. Haaland as captain because, yeah, I mean, he's always scores. He's blanked like once this whole entire year. So who else exactly? Tony against Wolves. I think Brentford are a really good home team, so I reckon they'll react after getting absolutely spanked by Aston Villa. So I reckon we'll see a big reaction out of them. And then Callum Wilson, who we had in the weekly wildcard draft, I think he's going to get some goals against Aston Villa at home. And in terms of potential moves, I'm saving a transfer. I think this is a good enough team where I don't have to tinker too much, and there's not so many obvious players that you have to bring in. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, you went through all your players, and it should also be noted that apart from the Man City players who are basically fixture proof, all your other players are playing at home this week. And I actually had a look at home and away tables, and pretty much, well, not pretty much, all 20 teams have been better at home than away. That's not that surprising, but usually there's about like 1 or 2 or 3 teams that are better away than home for some reason. But this season it seems like home advantage is a huge factor, and that's also another reason why I think it's a sound plan for you to save your transfer and just stick with your home players and your city players and hope that will work out for you. I think you have a really strong team. Even though you didn't wildcard last week, you have a really good team. You're lacking some Arsenal players. That's the only drawback, I guess.
Lucky him, I guess.
If you had more, lucky him, maybe. If you had more money, maybe you could have upgraded Guehi or something to like Ben White or Gabriel if you had more money than that. But apart from that, I think the team looks pretty good. So
really good. Like you look at the Zaha Guehi double up, you would think in a good world that's a clean sheet. That's a goal and assist for Zaha. No, but for real, it looks like a really good team. Even though like Wilson and Evan Tony, 2 home games. You should get a return from one of them at least. So
yeah. Also, one more thing. This graphic doesn't have the yellow flag for Haaland. Obviously, there were some comments from Pep yesterday after he subbed off Haaland at halftime. He said he had some issues with his ankle and he had a fever and a couple other things. Cancelo apparently also had a fever. Who would have guessed after I brought it
he will
in?
be fine, I think so.
Yeah. I think both will be fine, but just a little bit of uncertainty with Haaland makes the vice captain a bit more interesting this week than it has been the last few game weeks. And Kevin has picked Salah. He backed him, so you don't really need to explain it more. But yeah,
I actually hope that he's injured and he's not playing. Then I can do Kane, Haaland to Kane, and then I can get an excuse to get like Tottenham player at my team. Easy enough. Yeah.
Would you sell Haaland though if he's back next week?
Yeah. I don't care about the next week. Just for the for this game week, just like I want a Tottenham player at my team. So
I'd need him out until the World Cup, where he's not going to play anyways. Before I sell him. But yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, but do you want to? Yeah, because you will lose value if you.
I know. It was a joke. I wouldn't sell Haaland. I'm a wise man. I'm not a crazy guy. Yeah.
Fair enough. Let's see how crazy you are, and let's look at your plans for the next game week.
Yeah, it's Riyad goal, Cancelo, Trippier, Gabriel, Foden, Salah, Zaha, Martinelli, Saka, Poland captain, Skamaka as a second striker, Nick Williams, Archer, Bueno, Iverson at the bench. I am thinking of going crazy. I usually do some crazy stuff to sell Salah against Leeds, which is the only thing that he's playing against Leeds. He really scores a lot of goals against Leeds, and Leeds are terrible. But it's again, what kind of position Salah is going to play at? What kind of Liverpool team will show up? What kind of formation is he gonna score all the chances he's getting? In terms of stats, he's been really having some slight improvement. Like he's having 2.1 expected goals involvement, like number 3 after Boyan and Saka. 14 goal attempts, 11 shots inside the box. So it's really working a little bit slightly for him. But I don't trust Salah anymore. I don't trust Liverpool. And as I made the case for Son earlier, I really think Son will score much more points than Salah in the next 3 games. So we'll see. After we record this episode, it will be Liverpool game. It will start in like few minutes. I want to watch Liverpool. I want to watch Tottenham. I want to see. I will make my decision based on that. So we'll see. It will be a lot of thoughts up until the deadline. But further than that, I'm not thinking of making any other transfers. My team looks all right. I need to give them a second chance for the Wildcard. I hope, as I said, that Arsenal will score goals against Nottingham Forest. They should. So we'll see about that. If not, then I will do crazy things for the next game week. So
yeah. Like with Kevin, the vice captain is important if Haaland is out. You've chosen Foden as your vice captain, but would you?
No, I have it on Salah right now.
Okay, I have it on Salah right now.
I just forgot to send a screenshot to you, updated one, but I think like. I'm not sure if Foden. I don't trust Pep. The thing is, Pep relates to him. I have to have it on another player. I don't see anyone other than Salah. I don't trust Zaha, Martinelli, or Saka. So if it's not Haaland, it will go to Salah or Son.
Yeah.
Based on transfers.
That's what I was going to ask, if you were going to put it on Son if you transfer him. But
Absolutely.
Obviously, if you transfer out Salah, then Son will be your vice captain, I assume.
No brainer.
Yeah. Fair enough. Once again, my team is not that much different to yours. I have, like both of you, I have Raya in goal, but against Wolverhampton at home, surely this time it should be a clean sheet. Cancelo against Leicester away, Gabriel against Nottingham Forest at home, Trippier against Aston Villa at home, Foden against Leicester away, Salah against Leeds at home, Martinelli against Nottingham Forest at home, Zaha against Southampton at home, Haaland as captain against Leicester away, Jesus against Nottingham Forest at home. He has one more shot to produce for me before I sell him. And then Skamaka against Man United away. I have benched Bailey yet again because he's facing Newcastle away. And obviously Bueno and Patterson are also on the bench, along with Ward, who plays against Man City. So I think finally Ward will not outscore my starting goalkeeper. Hopefully. Just like Kevin, I have 0.1 million in the bank, and I'm going to save my transfer. Again, I feel like my team is really good. I've been saying that for a lot of game weeks, and I'm down at 2.1 million in terms of rank. But hopefully, my luck turns around this week. Yeah, I can only hope. But I have three City players and 3 Arsenal players, so I have high hopes for this game week. So we'll see about that. I don't know if you guys have any comments on my team. Otherwise, we'll just move on to the
I
outro.
think it looks pretty similar to mine. Yeah, I wouldn't do anything otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a Salah to Son move. I'll consider that as well, I guess, depending on what happens tonight. But
I hope you both
likely,
do it. I hope you both do it, and then I get triple captain him, and then it'll be just. Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, most likely I'll keep Salah at the moment. I have my vice captain on Jesus, Nottingham Forest at home. I mentioned this, like, this is the 4th time I'm mentioning this. Last chance, Jesus.
Yeah.
It was one of my decisions this season that has failed me so far was not wildcarding in Game Week 8 and waiting until Game Week 13. One of the reasons for that was that I could keep Jesus and wildcard him back and all that stuff. Most people wildcarded or transferred him out in Game Week 8 or Game Week 9 when they did the wildcard. I kept faith in him. He scored a couple goals early in Game Week 8 and 9, but then Game Week 10, 11, 12, he's just been terrible. He's been, I think from Game Week 10 until now, he's been like the 22nd highest ranked striker or in terms of FPL points, which is awful. He's gotten less points than Solanke for half the price almost. So very disappointed in Jesus. He's just been really wasteful, but I'm going to give him one more chance, even potentially as a captain if Haaland is injured. He might be my captain.
Why not Salah?
Again, maybe. I'm considering him as well, but most likely Haaland will just be the captain and play, but I might switch it to Salah, but I don't know.
No, I mean, why not like vice captain as a Salah? I mean, like...
Yeah, I might still do that, but we'll see.
Yeah,
it's just one more chance for Jesus. That's pretty much it for this week's content. We'll move right on along to the outro screen, and I'll hand it over to our social media manager, which is Kevin. He has previously worked for UEFA as a social media creator or content manager. Yep. So he knows his stuff, and you know also where to find us. So please tell us, Kevin, where can people find us?
You can, for starters, join our mini league, which I feel like it's obviously there on screen, but for everyone who can't see it, the code is 6IYV7U. And join our mini league, see if you can beat us. And if you do, I will buy you something for £1. And it will, once the budget goes higher and higher, we'll get you something real nice. And you can follow us, and please like, share, subscribe on YouTube. You can find us on the FPLScope. On Twitter, if you feel like you want to roast us for any of the decisions we make, comment about something that stupid that I said, feel free to do it on Twitter. Our handle is at FPLScope. And that's the same with Instagram, which is at FPLScope. You get to see our thumbnails a bit earlier. And there'll be some fun polls and other things that will be coming up as soon as possible. So keep an eye out. This space is going to explode, and so will this podcast.
And we're also doing a Spotify version of this episode as well for people who want to listen to us on audio. So
yeah, we'll try to fix Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff, all the audio ways of listening to this.
Kevin is a man. Kevin is a man for that.
Kevin is a man for that, for sure.
I'll sort that out.
He's going to sort that out. Yep.
However, I still always recommend watching it on YouTube so you can see our reactions and mainly to see our tears, because the last couple of game weeks have been pretty terrible.
It will be fun. Optimistic.
It will be fun.
Let's watch Salah in a new position as Klopp is trying to be more philosophical than Pep. So let's watch the game right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a good night from me.
It's a good night from me, and Kevin, I assume it's a good night from you as well.
Yeah, good night, which is Swedish for good night.
It's also Norwegian for good night. Yeah. But thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Please also comment. I don't think Kevin mentioned that, but just put in the comment section anything you have. As well as Twitter, you can mention anything you noted in the episode in the comment section on YouTube as well. That's pretty much it for me. So see ya. Bye-bye.